She dropped the blade and jumped away from the counter. This couldn't be happening. Her eyes must have been playing tricks on her. She looked at the shiny object in shock, but as she reached out to touch it, it moved. Her scream echoed through the house as her husband ran to her side. What was going on? But before we start our story, smash the like button, make sure to subscribe and hit the notifications bell so you won't miss any new stories. Minnie and her husband Joel lived off the land as much as their lifestyle would allow. Aside from growing their own fruits and vegetables in their lush garden, they also fished in the lakes and sea nearby to put delicious food on the table. Everything they ate was homegrown, and they loved showing their kids basic hunting and gathering skills. For Minnie and Joel, their grow-what-you-eat lifestyle wasn't a chore for them. Instead, it was a pleasant, relaxing hobby that let them spend quality time with their kids and each other. But on this fateful day's fishing haul, the couple caught something that changed everything. Bowfin, also known as mud pike or even trash fish, aren't always a welcome catch for fishermen. But if someone knew how to cook them properly, they could make quite a tasty meal. Luckily for the couple, they knew how to cook them, so when they caught a few bowfin, they knew exactly what to do with them. They returned home, popping the extra fish in the freezer and leaving 2 out to prepare for dinner. Minnie put fish into the sink and began her cleaning ritual. The first step was to remove the head. Then she had to take out the guts and clean it before scaling. She was just about to slide the knife along its stomach when she felt something strange. There was a hard lump right in the middle of the body. She checked out the fish and knew it wasn't eggs. Fish are known to sometimes eat strange things. So she opened up the fish and carefully took out the insides. She had no idea what she might find. Minnie stared at her hands, still not believing what she was holding. The delicate gold links formed into a necklace with an anchor pendant on the end. This was unbelievable. How did this little swimmer eat such a thing? Minnie put her finger over the lump and felt something move. She screamed in surprise and disgust and jumped back, away from the counter. Her scream echoed through the house, alarming Joel, who suddenly leaped to her side. His eyes popped open as he took in the inexplicable scene that lay before him. "What's happening?" her husband asked, looking at the fish. Minnie steadied herself and slowly reached out her hand. She pointed at the fish. "How is that possible?" she shrieked. The long piece of meat curled up like it was a live fish, flopping around for air on a dry dock. It was moving. The head was in the sink and the rest of the body parts were on the cutting board. Minnie's husband poked the flesh and the flopping became more intense. How was this even possible? Minnie wondered if it had something to do with whatever was hiding inside the lump. Was the thing inside the lump making the fish move? Before she was going to touch that thing again, she wanted to understand what she was dealing with. Minnie put her treasure hunt on hold and ran to her phone. While her husband filmed the phenomenon, she immediately pulled up a search engine and scoured the internet for answers. She drew a sigh of relief when she found that fish moving after they're dead is actually quite common. And the cause is a very common cooking ingredient, salt. Even after a fish dies, some cells in the body can still react to stimuli. In this case, it was sodium. The scientific answer had a lot of complicated ideas about sodium and potassium ions reacting to neurons firing as well as electrical signals. This chain reaction can cause muscles to contract and release for a short period of time. Minnie giggled with relief as her husband played with the fish, but not. Only one question remained. What else was hiding inside the fish? As Minnie approached the fish again, her husband saw the necklace and asked her about it. When she described to him what happened, he was speechless. Then he felt exactly what she did. He stepped back and allowed her to continue with her crazy discovery. "Do you think there's more jewelry in there?" he asked. "I don't know, but I guess we'll find out," Minnie replied. Joel peered over her shoulder as she pulled back the insides, and a small ball came into view before seeing another and another. "What the?" Minnie muttered. Minnie uncovered a handful of tiny, shiny balls. She and Joel took one between their fingers to examine what it was. "Is it a bead?" Minnie asked. Joel was squinting his eyes, turning the tiny ball between his figure and thumb. But how did it get in the fish? Bowfish are known for not being the pickiest of eaters. In fact, they'll eat anything that moves. This fish must have had a liking for shiny things after eating an oyster and mussel or two. Fortunately for the couple, the jewelry found in the fish was in pristine condition, and the pearls, well, one of those could sell for $300 to $1,500. The couple uploaded their video of the moving fish and posted about their incredible find on social media. It didn't take long for comments to come pouring in. Most were shocked, and a few even accused them of faking the entire thing. But did they sell their find? Joel and Minnie faced a lot of criticism online at first for not trying to find the real owner of the gold necklace. But they tried to describe to their friends that it was impossible to find the real owner. The necklace could have fallen anywhere in the water system around the area that the fish would have commuted around. And there was also another problem. There was no telling how long the necklace could have been living underwater before the fish grabbed it. For all anyone knew, it could have been years or decades. Now one would think that this was the end of their amazing discovery. But over the next few weeks, something nagged at Minnie. They had put some fish in the freezer as well. Would there be anything interesting in those as well? Minnie might have felt foolish rummaging around in the freezer like a child on a treasure hunt. However, the previous discovery had already been amazing. So why not have a peek? She sliced open the vacuum-sealed pack, stuck the frozen block of fish into a bowl, and waited for them to defrost. Joel stopped cutting the garden tomatoes he had picked for the afternoon salad. He looked over and raised an eyebrow. "You don't actually think there's more?" Minnie nudged him away. Her hands jittered with excitement. Thankfully, the fishy siblings didn't do the disturbing death dance like the other filly. She slid the knife along the belly and poked her fingers inside, hoping to feel something other than squishy guts. Nothing. It was a normal fish, just like the hundreds they had caught before. But there were 4 more to go, and she pounced on them like a gambling addict with a pile of fresh scratch cards. Little did they know the mystery that awaited them. 3rd, nothing. 4th, nothing. But it was on the 5th fish that her knife hit something solid. Joel's eyes went as wide as dinner plates when Minnie pulled out another piece of gold. But this one wasn't a necklace. It was a thick gold ring like something a man would wear. "This isn't happening," Joel said. Minnie leaned against the counter. Her head was already dizzy to the point of pulling her to the floor. This wasn't just a shiny new find, because as she looked closer, an astounding clue appeared. With the necklace and pearls, there was no way of knowing who the treasures belonged to. But as Minnie wiped away the icky film, the inside revealed an engraving, 2 names and a date. This was the breakthrough they needed. The adventure wasn't over. It might not have been much, but the new details were far more than what they had started with. Joel pulled out his computer and frantically looked for wedding announcements around the date on the ring. Minnie did the same. There was no way she could sit back and do nothing. "Jimmy, maybe James," Minnie muttered, her hands sailing over the keys in a caffeine-fueled blur. The entire thing was like finding a needle in 100 haystacks. It wasn't until their 6th cup of coffee did something finally spark their hope again. "James and Madeline Jeffords," Joel exclaimed. His excitement nearly knocked her out of her seat. There it was, plain as day. This had to be the owner of the lost wedding band. Minnie thanked the internet gods. They had a social media page. It was a stream of photos, mostly grandkids and silly jokes, but there was no mention of a lost wedding band. Maybe that was because the couple had lost it so long ago. Minnie's hands shook with excitement as she typed a message to Madeline. They waited with bated breath to see those 3 little dots appear, a sign that someone was writing back. Every part of them hoped someone still bothered to look at the account. Minutes turned into hours, and the moon rose high in the sky. The kids slept soundly in their beds while Joel snored like a chainsaw in his Barcalounger. Minnie's head dipped toward the table, over and over, as she willed herself to stay awake. Finally, she heard the ding they had been longing for. Yes, we lost a wedding band. But that was years ago. "Who is this?" Minnie squealed loudly, waking Joel up with such a start that his chair folded like a mousetrap from under him. Before they could move forward, both Minnie and her husband had made one simple rule: She introduced herself, mentioning that their family were fishing fanatics. They had stumbled across the ring. But could the person or people on the other end describe it accurately? They weren't about to accidentally give someone else's wedding memento to a complete stranger. The dots appeared again, and the next message made Minnie want to cry. They described it perfectly, right down to the use of Jimmy instead of James. They had found the owner of the ring. But the best part was yet to come. The family piled into their minivan and made the 3-hour trip north to where the couple was waiting. As they pulled into the driveway, Minnie could feel the tears build. An old man and woman stood on the porch, holding hands, their faces bright with excitement. It was an unbelievable series of events that had connected two families over many years and miles. The couple had been taking a walk along a pier one day. Madeline wasn't sure how, but a small pouch of jewelry had fallen out of her purse, things she had wanted to take to the jeweler to get cleaned. It must have been taken by the waves and washed away. Minnie and Joel's eyes turned wide as the couple showed them photos of the wedding bands and a gold necklace with an anchor pendant. Both sides couldn't hold back the tears. It was fate, pure fate. But the old couple was about to do something extra special. "We want you to keep the necklace, Waim, as a thank you for reuniting them with the long-lost ring and to have something as a memory for this unbelievable meeting." Even after a cup of tea and then returning home, Minnie and Joel's smiles didn't fade.